The gospel of crime prevention is here. This is Crime Prevention Works. I'm Ajala. We believe that crime prevention should be a collective act of responsibility. Crime prevention should be everyone's business. It takes you and I to keep us safe. It takes willingness and collaboration with law enforcement to keep America safe. I have been producing Crime Prevention Works on public access television since 2004, and we preach prevention instead of reaction. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I'm sure you'll agree with me on that. Today we are talking about the role of the United States Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, otherwise known as ATF, within the Department of Justice. We will be talking about various regulations that they do have in place, the work that they do to help keep America safe, and how you, our viewers, can contribute to the process of keeping America safe as well. And this is by helping to prevent crimes before they occur. There's a lot of evil people out there, people trying to hurt us, people trying to hurt America. We encourage you all to keep your eyes open out there. Please do the right thing and speak up. If you see something, please say something. Today's episode is titled Working with ATF to Reduce Crime in Our Communities. And from ATF, we have our guests, Carl Vasilko, Special Agent in Charge at the Washington Field Office. Carl, you're welcome into the show.
Thank you, Tessie. I'm happy to be here.
We're glad to have you, Carl. Thank you so much for finding time out of your busy schedule to be on the show today. What's your background before we go into the meat of the show?
Well, Tessie, I've been in law enforcement for 31 years. Prior to my hiring on with ATF, I was a city police officer up in Northwest Indiana. And in my activities as a police officer and working cases, I became familiar with ATF and its mission and worked with ATF agents, and it struck me. And I knew at that time that ATF is where I wanted to be for the rest of my career in law enforcement. I've been with ATF for about 24 years now, and recently have arrived here in the Washington Field Division as a special agent in charge.
That's interesting. So what do you do? What is ATF all about? What's your mission? What's your vision? What does the government give you guys money to do?
Well, our mission is pretty clear. We investigate and prosecute and incarcerate violent offenders, career offenders that use firearms and explosives and or bombs or IEDs to commit their acts of violence and terrorize our communities. But in addition to that, we also regulate the firearms and the explosives industries as well. So it's kind of a two-pronged agency with a bit of a dual mission. But they complement each other well and both contribute to the reduction of violent crime.
Is a principal law enforcement agency within the United States Department of Justice. The men and women of ATF perform the dual responsibilities of enforcing federal criminal laws and regulating the firearms and explosives industries. We work directly and through partnerships to investigate and reduce crime involving firearms and explosives, acts of arson, and illegal trafficking of alcohol and tobacco products. Over the past 200 years, we've built a strong heritage. First, as a tax-collecting, regulatory enforcement arm of the Treasury Department. Then, in 2003, we moved to the Justice Department as part of the Homeland Security reorganization of the government. At that time, the word explosives was added to the Bureau's name. This reflects our long-standing expertise in investigating and resolving arson and explosives incidents. This is ATF. We are a specialized law enforcement agency, one that brings unique expertise to prevent terrorism and protect the public against violent crime and other threats to our nation and the communities where we live and work. We're the men and women of ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. A major ATF responsibility is to battle firearm violence using a law enforcement strategy that focuses our efforts on armed offenders, career criminals, and violent gangs. ATF leads the Department of Justice's two main crime reduction initiatives, Project Safe Neighborhoods and the Violent Crime Impact Teams. These two programs are nationwide commitments to reducing gun violence. The men and women of ATF are at the forefront of this daily effort in partnership with other law enforcement agencies and prosecutors. Our ongoing collaborations keep firearms out of the hands of convicted felons and remove violent offenders from the streets. We target the worst of the worst to help make our communities safe. Examples of our successes include the infiltration of outlaw motorcycle gang and violent street gang. This involves long-term undercover investigations that lead to the successful prosecution and imprisonment of thousands of criminal gang members.
In our battle against gangs, guns, and drugs, ATF is a valuable partner of the Chicago Police. Together, we're going after gun traffickers, we're going after the gangs, and we're having success. We're driving down the violence rate in Chicago. ATF and CPD, it's working.
Through ATF's National Tracing Center and Integrated Ballistic Information System, known as NIBIN, state and local law enforcement partners are connected with some of the most powerful tools in the field. ATF is the only agency with the ability to track and trace crime guns in the world. In concert with NIBIN and E-Trace, enforcement partners are connected to a secure database filled with information and images of spent shell casings and crime gun analysis data. These resources allow law enforcement to trace firearms and compare ballistic evidence found at one crime scene to other investigations around the country, all within an accelerated time frame. In addition, we ensure that those who are licensed to sell firearms comply with federal law. Our investigators conduct thousands of inspections each year, reviewing the business records of firearms dealers. This helps prevent firearms from falling into the hands of those prohibited by law from having them. Another ATF responsibility is to prevent and solve crimes involving arson and explosives. Throughout the years, our agency has been at the center of national criminal incidents. For instance, it was ATF working in partnership with the New York City Police Department that discovered the critical piece of evidence in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. And we were instrumental in the investigation of the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. Using constantly expanding capabilities, ATF launched the Bomb Arson Tracking System, or BATS. BATS is the first web-based system providing federal, state, and local law enforcement officials and bomb scene commanders the ability to securely share crucial information about arson and explosives incidents around the nation. When an explosion, suspected arson, or major fire occurs and ATF assistance is requested, we respond on the scene with a team of uniquely qualified experts. These experts put their investigative skills to work, analyzing debris to determine the cause and origin. Evidence and other material are gathered and sent to one of ATF's forensic laboratories for analysis by expert forensic scientists. ATF's Fire Research Laboratory is the world's only facility dedicated to fire scene investigation. Fire investigators from across the country work with ATF to reconstruct fire scenes, analyze evidence, and resolve fire-related crimes.
Without a doubt, the expertise provided by ATF has augmented our agency in not only in conducting fire scene examinations and determining the cause and origin of fires and the church fires that occurred here in Alabama, the investigation itself, the expertise provided by ATF and the manpower and other resources provided by ATF led to the successful conclusion of that investigation and the arrest of the people responsible for those fires.
At our National Center for Explosives Training and Research, we share our knowledge with local, state, military, other federal, and international agencies. We teach methods of piecing together evidence at bomb scenes and ways to dismantle explosive devices. Our agents, certified fire and explosives investigators, and other experts also serve on national and international response teams. They go anywhere requested by our law enforcement partners to investigate major fire incidents and criminal bombings. Our industry operations investigators are at the forefront of ensuring explosives are stored properly and all explosives are accounted for. At ATF, we also enforce the federal laws governing the illegal trafficking of alcohol and tobacco, both domestically and internationally. We do that by enforcing laws prohibiting the diversion of these products from legitimate commerce. Our efforts involve denying profits to traffickers through the seizure of their illegal assets. A major component of this activity involves partnering with other law enforcement agencies. Together, we collect, analyze, and disseminate intelligence about alcohol and tobacco trafficking schemes. Schemes possibly having ties to organized criminal groups and terrorist organizations.
ATF is really a key law enforcement player here in Maryland. Everybody recognizes that throughout the state, from the violent crime impact teams to the work on Project Safe Neighborhoods in Maryland Exile, to the work that ATF has done in dealing with firebombing cases in Baltimore City and with arson cases throughout the state. ATF has been a major player in law enforcement here in Maryland.
We're the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF. Investigating and reducing crimes that involve firearms, explosives, and arson. We are stopping alcohol and tobacco from being trafficked illegally. We're participating in deployments and partnerships throughout the world. We're ATF. Preventing terrorism, reducing violent crime, and protecting our nation.
So what is this thing I'm hearing about the fact that I can go to a gun show and purchase a gun without background checks? Is that legal?
It is legal for you to purchase a firearm at a gun show from a private individual without a background check, yes, sir.
Isn't that part of our problems in America today? If I can just go to a gun show and purchase a gun without background check?
Well, unfortunately, at the gun shows and flea markets, those purchases are not regulated currently by law, no.
Is there anything ATF's doing about that to keep us safer?
Well, what we focus on at ATF is investigating and working within the statutes and regulations that are on the books that Congress has put in place. That's where we focus our efforts on the regulation of the industry, but more in addition to that, also on the strict enforcement of individuals and criminal groups that use firearms to commit the violent crimes in our communities.
Any specific example of tips you've gotten from community members that give you a big break recently?
Recently, yes, we've had some outstanding tips with regard to firearms trafficking. We routinely get tips with regard to those involved in arms narcotics trafficking. ATF's website is pretty simple.
ATF's website, okay.
www.atf.gov.
Very good.
Our number there is 202-648-8010.
Very good.
And I'll provide additional ways for you to contact us as well.
As a strategic way of creating more awareness, we invite you to join us next time on Crime Prevention Works. We must continue this conversation of safety and prevention before crimes occur in America. We're tired of reacting to crime instead of preventing crime. We must continue to work together with the good guys to keep America safe. Thanks for watching. So long.